Hello everybody, Marlene, aka Snow Gardener 307. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. We are sharing our 5th annual debt update. That's right, you guys. 5 years ago, my husband and I started on our debt-free journey. So we've been working our heinies off for the past 5 years. There have been good years, there have been bad years. Life happens. And so today I'm going to share all kinds of numbers with you. I have got our debt totals. I figured those out today. I've got our savings totals and I've got our retirement totals as well. Now, retirement totals right now may not have been the best time to pull them, but I'm not worried because this is the long haul game. So let's go ahead and start off with a little bit about my husband and I and why we started our journey when we did start our journey. Just in case you're new to the channel or if you haven't watched one of our debt updates before. First of all, as I said, my name is Marlene. I go by Snow Gardener 307 and my husband's name is Bridger and he goes by Mr. Snow Gardener 307. And so these are our finances together. We got married in 2020. So when I first started my journey, because I started first, we were not married yet. And when the pandemic was hitting, I was like, Marlene, what in the HE double hockey sticks are you doing? Because I was in such a financial disaster, it wasn't even funny. I had credit card debt. You guys will see almost $50,000 in credit card debt by myself. I had a car loan, I had a land loan, I had other loans, and there was other debt. And I was a single mom of 2 teenagers at that point. And I just knew that I needed to figure something out. So I came to YouTube looking for inspiration. I had tried the Dave Ramsey plan years ago when my kids were toddlers. I couldn't do it back then, you guys. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the skill set. I don't think I had the desire to do it either. And so I was a little bit afraid of Dave Ramsey and the plan. And so if you hear anything, that's a Yorkie. I'm sorry, it's Zeus trying to make the bed comfortable. He just likes to make noises when I film. And I was a little bit afraid to try the Ramsey plan again. So I started searching online and I found lots of inspiration, as I'm sure you guys have as well, because if you're here, you're probably looking for inspiration or you're on your journey and maybe you need inspiration to start, inspiration to continue, inspiration to move on to the next thing in your journey. Can you guys see their sun? There's sun on my hand. But anyway, inspiration is what I needed. So I got on YouTube. I started researching some stuff. I started writing down all of my debt. I started tracking all of my spending. And Mr. Snow Gardener and I still technically have separate budgets, but things are melding together quite a bit more. A lot of people believe that if you're married, your finances should be together. And Dave Ramsey is one of those that truly believes that. And I understand, but I believe that budgets are personal and you need to do whatever works for you. So I started on my budgeting journey. Then a couple months into my budgeting journey, Bridger saw how well I was doing and he asked me if I would help him. Now, one of my rules was I am more than happy to help you, but when you start nilly-willy spending money all over the place and there's not enough money to pay your bills, I'm out. Because I don't ever want to be in a position where I don't have enough money to pay my bills. And I most certainly don't want to take on the anxiety of you not being able to pay your bills. And so he was all in. He jumped in, both feet in. We talked about his goals. We talked about our goals together. And we started working on our debt. So let's talk about our debt-free journey. Let's talk about where we started. So I have got this beautiful printout that I create for myself every year because I'm all about seeing things in print. I am not a digital budgeter. I am a paper and pen budgeter. Now, of course, I print budget kits or I type stuff in like this. Oops, that sun is right in the way. I left the window open because it was beautiful out there. So I've got this. So we are going to reference this. There's something floating in the sky. Did you guys see it? Anyway, let's talk about it. So April 2020, I'm going to put these numbers up here, right here for you guys as I am looking at this sheet right here because I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk to you one-on-one. I don't want to have you guys pointed at my desk right now as I'm talking about our debt and where we started, where we've come. We've had lots of detours. We've had a major storm in our life for over a year now that has been draining finances in ways that we don't want. And so on April 2020, my credit card debt alone was this right here, $48,280.19. That's right, you guys. That is what my debt is. When I got divorced in the fall of 2012, I had zero debt except for my car at that point. So this mama, in less than 8 years, racked up that much debt by buying vacations, by spending money I didn't have, by spending way too much money on Christmas for my kids, traveling sports such as hockey and swimming and that type of stuff. And I don't have anything to show for it, you guys. Do I have memories with my kids? Of course I do. But I was a little bit out of control. Then I was also working on my bachelor's in criminal justice, which I am excited to tell you. I do have my bachelor's in criminal justice, which cracks me up because I am retired from the sheriff's office. And so the day that I'm putting this video up, I still have 2 more days until my official retirement. So my official retirement is April 7th of this year. But I'm retiring from law enforcement, and I worked my butt off to get that bachelor's degree in criminal justice. But hey, I did it for me. And so the reason why I tell you guys this is I had some college debt as well. But I paid for all my college. I did not take out student loans. This debt right here was through the school, and they had a payment plan. So that was pretty awesome. So I owed $3,615, so not that much. And then my car at that point, I owed $30,147.82. I have since sold this vehicle and have another vehicle. We're going to talk about that as well. And so that was my debt. Then together, we had bought a piece of property. We had bought actually 3 2-acre parcels. So we still had a property loan of $13,611.66, which is nothing compared to what we spent on the property, of course. And at that point, Bridger and I didn't have any credit cards together whatsoever. And then Bridger was not as comfortable with sharing his finances back in 2020 as he is now. He was embarrassed. He was ashamed. He didn't want people to know what he had done with his finances. And I think a lot of us have been there, and maybe some of us are there now. I, of course, got over that. I just laid it all out there. I'm like, I have nothing to be ashamed of. These are choices that I made, and I need to make better choices going forward. And so together with Mr. Snowgardener's credit cards, the house, and the truck, Mr. Snowgardener had $217,217.65. So together, Mr. Snowgardener and I had $365,872.32 in debt. It wasn't pretty, you guys. It wasn't pretty at all. And when you looked at our paychecks at that point, Mr. Snowgardener and I both worked at the sheriff's office. And so, oh no, we didn't. I'm sorry. Mr. Snowgardener worked at a different company at that point. And so I worked at the sheriff's office. He worked at a different company at that point. But trust me, we were a hot mess. Our savings in April 2020 was $1,000. And that's because Marlene had done the baby step with Dave Ramsey of $1,000. I told you guys I didn't want to follow Dave Ramsey exactly, but I take part of Dave Ramsey's plan, the Budget Mom, and other budgeters that I found on YouTube to make it work for me. And so we had $1,000, and that was mine. Bridger had nothing. And I had, my HSA at that point was $4,102.69. And so that is a savings account. Yes, it's only for medical, but if you have to, you can draw out of it. Now, of course, you don't want to do that because you get penalized by the IRS if it's not medical. So we had a total savings of $5,102.69. We did not track our retirement at that point, and I'm pretty sad because I would have liked to have seen where it's went in the last 5 years. But we just started tracking that last year. So, hey, you know, it's better to start now than never, right? So let's talk about April of last year. let's talk about where we went from 2020 to 2024. And so, like I said, I'm going to be putting numbers up here. So I am happy to tell you guys that yes, I changed cars. I traded my vehicle in and I did some creative financing to purchase my new car. And so I had cash to buy my new car, but I didn't want to take my emergency savings down as low as it was. So I wrote a check for my new car. But then I did a balance transfer on a new credit card, not a new credit card, just a new balance transfer at 0% for 12 months. And so I had credit card debt in 2023 because of that vehicle, but I paid it off. You guys, I had no credit card debt in 2024. So I had no credit card debt, no college debt, no car debt. Mr. Snow Gardener and I had also paid off our property. However, because of the storm that I brought up and told you guys, we had one of our credit cards that had $10,183.31 on it. And then Mr. Snow Gardener, all of his personal credit cards were paid off. So we went from $70,000 in credit card debt down to $10,000. So that was good, but that $10,000 was new debt. So it was very heartbreaking to have to do that. Mr. Snow Gardener didn't have any personal credit card debt, and the house was now $163,287.75. That's right, you guys. The house debt went down immensely, and that's because we've been paying extra on it. And then his truck that he had a different truck in 2020 than he had than he has now. Is it the same truck? I'm trying to remember. He's had a couple different things that he's had to do. So his truck was $28,515.73. That means last year's debt total, right up here, was $201,986.79. So we went from $365 down to $201 in 4 years, even with the storm that we were facing. And boy, it's a doozy. And I'll talk to you guys a tiny bit about it, but I can't share, and you'll figure out very quickly why I couldn't share. Now, one of the biggest difference besides the debt is the savings, because we had emergency funds, we had sinking funds, we have all the savings and stuff. Now, our savings did take a big hit in 2024 because of the storm. I think it took, if I remember correctly, I think it took a $20,000 hit. Actually, I act like I don't have, oh, that was dice. I act like I don't have this in my budget book, right? So let's take a look and see how much it went down. So our savings went down. I guess it wasn't as bad, but our savings went down $12,580. But you guys know we were adding new money into it. So I think that's where I'm coming up with the $20,000. It took a big hit. And it was very heartbreaking, right? We worked so hard to save this money, but luckily that money was there like it was supposed to be to help us during the storm. And so that's one thing. I don't want you guys to get disappointed if you save money or you have sinking funds and you have to use them. That's what we have them there for. Because if we can use them correctly, then we don't end up getting ourselves into a bunch of debt and getting ourselves in trouble again. Now, Mr. Snow Gardener and I have our credit card spending under control. We spend on a credit card every single month. This, of course, is against the Dave Ramsey plan. That's why I told you we don't follow the Dave Ramsey plan exactly. We have rewards cards that we use and pay them off. And boy, are we reaping the benefits for our travel. Okay, so savings. For April of 2024, our savings was $31,486.28. That's a good chunk of savings. My HSA, I'd been working my butt off, putting money into my HSA, was $11,458.36. And Mr. Snow Gardener had just started a new HSA, so he was at $1,413.72. That meant our savings now was $44,358.36. So over $39,000 difference since we started in April of 2020. Retirement, this is the first year that we pulled the numbers. My retirement was at $121,541.44, and Mr. Snow Gardener's was at $10,260.22. When he left the sheriff's office, he cashed his retirement out because he was in a financial disaster. And so he cashed it out. Now he's like, oh, I wish we would have been where we are now. We would, I would have been able to use that money so much smarter. And it's one of those shoulda, woulda, coulda games, right? We all play that. Hindsight is 2020 for all of us. So I try not to do that, right? I try not to beat myself up about decisions that have been made in the past, things that I've already done. I try very hard not to make large purchases without really thinking about the purchase because I don't want buyer's remorse. Now, if I go spend $20 or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have spent it. That's not life or death, right? That is not going to ruin my finances. Now, of course, if I get into those spending habits of spending $20 over and over and over, or saying, oh, it's only $6.59. Oh, it's only $18.32, and you don't pay attention, then it can snowball and get out of control. So, for the retirement for the two of us, that was $131,801.66, which is a good place to be. It's not where we need to be, but it's a good place to be. So let's talk about April 2025. I had to reach out to Mr. Snow Gardener several times today to get login information because I just got a new phone. And of course, it does a verification to his phone or his email to make sure. So let's talk about where we're at. So my credit card debt, $0. The college, you guys know, is done. Car, $0. Property, still at $0. We haven't bought any more property. Our credit card that had $10,000 on it last year, $0. Okay, so that's amazing. The storm came along and whipped her head again. And so Mr. Snow Gardener has $8,182 sitting on a 0% interest card. Now, I know some of you guys are going to say, why not just use savings? That's neither here nor there. These are the decisions we have made. The house is down to $151,837.60. Super excited about that. And because there is probably about $200,000 in equity in our home now. So it feels pretty good. And Bridger's truck obviously has went down as well. It's at $22,928.04. He did attempt to sell his truck, but it didn't work. So everything happens for a reason. His truck we use to pull the snow machine trailers and to do some other things with. But for the most part, it sits in the driveway or in front of our house because my husband has another truck that he drives. And so, it's one of those things that we might try again, but we're just kind of holding where we're at right now. So that means that, of course, April 2024, the debt was $201,986.79. And in April 2025, the debt was $182,947.64. That means our debt went down $19,039.15. Breaks my heart that it's not over 20. And if the storm wouldn't have just reared its ugly head, we would definitely have been there. And yes, I know we could have taken it out of our savings, but this is what we chose to do. So let's talk about savings, you guys. Let's talk about savings. Mr. Snow Gardener and I have spent 2024 working on emergency funds and starting to max out Roth IRAs. So we are transitioning some of our goals here. So our savings grew over 1 year, $29,392.52. Yes, my nose itches, of course, because I'm filming. Yes, you guys. And part of that, the way that we were able to do that is I was working more than 2 full-time jobs. I was working at the sheriff's office and I was doing my business and I was running myself ragged. And so Mr. Snow Gardener was also working his hiney off. There are often 2-week pay periods where he has more overtime hours than he has straight hours. So we have been working our tails off. And it is so nice when the numbers show that. So my HSA went down. I had a lot of major medical stuff happen last year. And so did Julia. So I had to pull money out we met the family deductible. We don't ever want to do that, but we met the family deductible. We have a high deductible insurance. And so my HSA went down to $7,714.69. So still a good chunk, but it did go down. Mr. Snow Gardener, on the other hand, used my HSA to buy contacts and glasses with. So his HSA didn't have anything out of it, and his went from $1,413 up to $6,194. So we kind of swapped around a little bit. And so our savings balance went from $44,358.36 up to, I can't believe this number, you guys. I am so excited. It went up to $74,788 and a penny. So we have an increase of $30,000, $30,429.65. Big numbers are hard. English is hard. Talking is hard. So debt went down $19K. Savings went up $30K. That's an amazing thing. So then we've got our retirement and our investments. And like I said, now is not a good time to pull them. I'm not going to dwell on them. We have an increase, and that makes me happy. So my retirement and investing went from $121,541.44 up to $136,184.92. Now, my goal is over the next 10 years to be having this go up exponentially, because I am focusing on it and I am putting money in. So I had an increase of $14,643.48. It was a lot better, but that's neither here nor there. Mr. Snow Gardener went from $10,260.22 up to $18,875.63. And of course, that doesn't seem right. I'm hoping I have the numbers right. If for some reason, I'm going to double check them after. But it seems like he should be higher than that because he's been putting so much into his HSA. But I think most of that is HSA, actually. And then we had the drop in the market. So that's probably right. But he went up $8,615.41. So I have my state retirement, right, which is going to lead into my pension when I turn 60. I also have another savings that was for law enforcement. So I have money in there. And I have my Roth IRA. And so that is where my money is. Mr. Snow Gardener has Roth IRA and 401k through his work. And so for the investments, it went up $23,258.89, went from $131,801.66 up to $150,908.68. You guys, we have come so far in 5 years. Now, of course, when we were starting out, it was an uphill battle. I barely had money to make the bills work. But when I actually took a look at my spending and did the hard work and said, okay, Marlene, let's have a come to Jesus meeting with ourselves and say, where is our money going? There were times when we said no. But you guys, another thing we don't follow in the Dave Ramsey plan is we never did gazelle tents. We never shut off everything. We've vacationed every single year, multiple times a year. So could we be farther in our lives, in our debt-free journey? Of course we could, but life is short. And I have found that out more than you know in the past year. And so for me, I'm super happy that we are taking advantage of spending time together as a married couple as well as with our family, because we will be going on vacation in April to go scuba diving. That vacation is paid in full, and I'm excited to say that we have bought a family vacation that is paid in full for 2026 for 5 of us. So you think about that expenditure as well as what we have here. This girl is smiling. I'm super proud of where we've been, where we've come. And now I want to talk to you guys really briefly about the storm. Several people had asked about, we hope you're okay. We hope it's not a health concern. Luckily, Mr. Snow Gardener and I, as far as we know, are healthy. So that is a very big positive. The storm that we are going through has to do with finances, and it's in the courts. And that's all I can tell you guys. So there are attorney fees that we are paying. There's a lot of stuff that has went down that has really impacted our financial situation. But we are not victims. We are survivors. And so while this may have been thrust upon us, and it's not mine at all, just so you guys know, But because it's there, we have to take care of it. We have to be realistic. We have to figure out how we're going to make it work. And so as I sit here today, super proud of where we've come over the past 5 years, I want to encourage you, no matter where you're at in your budgeting, your saving, your retirement journey, I want to encourage you to take it one day at a time, because one day at a time is the only way that we can move forward. Don't look at the past. Don't look behind you. Just look forward. And of course, one of the dogs would have had to have barked. Oh, those Yorkies, you gotta love them, but they love to bark at the wrong time. So I just want to encourage you guys, one day at a time, like I said. Don't compare yourself to somebody that is in year 5 of their journey when you are maybe in month 6. Remember that we all have our own journeys. We all have our own steps that we have to take, and it's going to take a while. It's not, you didn't get into this position overnight, right? It took you a while to get there. So just remember that. Don't ever give up. That's the most important thing. There were many times in our journey that I was like, this is too hard. I don't want to do this, but I knew I needed to do this. Like Dave Ramsey says, live today like, live today. What does he say? Live today like no one else. So years later, you can live like no one else. And while I don't follow the Ramsey plan exactly, the Ramsey team still inspires me all of the time. I still watch their podcasts. I still watch all kinds of things, you guys, to get myself further along on the journey. Now, Mr. Snow Gardener and I, besides the storm debt, all we have is Bridger's truck and the house. So we are paying extra on the house, but now we are working on the next step of making sure that we're maxing out our Roth IRAs. I also, since I have retired or will be retiring from the sheriff's office, I am going to be looking into self-employment retirement options, because those are out there as well. So this is where our journey is going, how our journey has come along the past 5 years. And I hope it inspires you to start your journey, to continue your journey, maybe to move on to the next step of your journey, because it's all scary, but you can do it. It doesn't matter how much you make, how much debt you have, you can do it. If you make more money, it's a little bit easier. Like I said, this last year I was able to make some major moves because I worked my butt off and worked more than 2 full-time jobs. So if you can make extra money, get it done. If that's not a possibility, cut your spending. You gotta make it work. All right, you guys, that's it for me today. Thank you all for joining me for our year 5 of our debt confession and our savings. We are so proud. Here is the sheet, and that sun is right in the way, so you can't see it. So here is my sheet. I will put it up here for you guys to see. And as my gift to you, this exact sheet without my numbers in it is going to be on my website for free. Go check out my website right up here, www.snowgardener307.com. You can go download this for yourself. And of course, you can do a yearly check-in to see where you're at. I am going to leave it exactly how I have it right here. I am going to leave like debt at the top with a debt total, savings, and investments. So that is where we're at. Oh, one other thing. So one other note. So our total debt paid since 2020 was $182,924.68. However, we have accrued more than $50,000 more in debt since then. And so over the past 5 years, we have actually paid off $235,000 worth of debt, plus or minus. Actually, it's plus. So that's a pretty big number there. I had to tell you guys that because, of course, we've acquired new debt and paid it off before these things have happened. All right, you guys, that's really it for me now. I want to wish you all the most amazing day, night, weekend, whenever you watch this. And as always, I want to remind you to keep on smiling. Bye, everybody.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day.